Good evening. Thank you all for coming. We are going to look into some things that I saw, and I thought, okay, we're gonna talk about searching and where to go next. And so I thought the first thing we should do is maybe look at the very first, what I believe at least to be the very first video available from a news. I'm going to prefer to do an actual local news station at this time rather than streamers and social media. So this is channel 2, WKRN. And we are going to watch this together. This is the very first video that I was able to find.
News alert. And I want to start with this breaking news. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office is searching for a missing teenager this morning. News 2's Jaxie Pigeon joins us live from Hendersonville with the latest efforts. Jaxie, multiple emergency crews right now searching for this teen.
That's right, Mark. It's all hands on deck here. As you can see behind me, there's so many agencies. I was just told that we have THP, TBI, City of Hendersonville, their teams there, as well as here we're at the Shackle Island Fire Department. They believe he was last seen at midnight walking out of his house because.
Okay. So if this was the very first news coverage that I was able to find, going back to the very, very beginning before anyone even did interviews, any of the parents, it mentioned midnight, gone missing around midnight. I don't think we know this. Again, as I mentioned before, we don't know if he went missing at midnight, 10 p.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m. We don't know because everybody was asleep or out of the area or at work, and it was reported around 6:30 in the morning. So we don't know the time.
Of his mental illness, they do believe.
And another thing there was they said mental illness. I would not classify autism as a mental illness, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a doctor.
That he walked out, but they have nothing to verify that just yet. They've been going door to door. Now, they do think that he had a black sweatshirt and black sweatpants on last night as well. We're going to pull up a picture of him really quick so you can see Sebastian.
They mentioned black sweatpants. I believe I saw in some later interviews from the parents that these were kind of more along the lines of your old school Adidas pants, maybe a little shiny black material. I don't know what that is, rayon maybe, with white stripes down the sides.
He's described as 5 feet 5 inches tall, who's weighing about 120 pounds and has dirty blonde hair. And then we have a map here coming up with the deputies searching several miles in this area of Beach and Shackle Island near Long Hollow Pike. Like I said, they are going door to door, and they believe he did walk out of his house because of his mental illness. They said he likes to fish.
Again, why they would say that it was believed he walked out of the door because of his mental illness. And my understanding is that he does, while he enjoys the physical action of running, that he does not have a history of running away or being what some might call a runner. But
We're learning more. I just got that update just a few minutes ago. So we'll keep you updated as we learn more here. But if you do see Sebastian Rogers or know anything about where he may be, you're asked to call the Sumner County Sheriff's Office. That number is 615-451-3838. For now, in Hendersonville, Jaxie Pigeon, News 2.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna talk about some options that we might have. One thing I was considering that could be very important is that some larger businesses retain video footage longer than maybe somebody with a residential doorbell type camera that backs up to the cloud. So even though we're this far out, larger businesses might be able to have some of that. So what I would first do if I was one of the parents would be to reach out to the larger local businesses in the area to find out if maybe they have tech people, maybe that is stored off site. A lot of that stuff is usually stored off site, to find out if there is footage. Again, I'm super shocked. Yeah, we're going to close that because I'm not trying to. Okay. So I'm going to screen share here with you guys to see if they have video footage. And if they do, get that to both, in my opinion, both TBI and the county sheriff. Okay. So, in looking at a map here, so this is the area that he went missing from. And what was very interesting to me is this appears to be a cul-de-sac. So there's only one way out, and that would be Stafford Court, and appears to be Kellen Lane. And these do look to be really nice homes. So I would just beg of all of the people to just double check all of their possible security footage, because somebody, to me, would have had some sort of, even if it was pitch black, would have had enough light source, living in a really nice home that would have provided light to then get a good recording of something. So again, please look again. And even if you look at the back streets like Honeysuckle Drive, you know, did they pick something up? So to get out of the neighborhood, I cannot attest to this area right here, but it looks like it ends and that you cannot pass through. However, if I lived in this vicinity, I don't think it would hurt to check some video footage. If the weather is nice, take a look. Something concerning to me was I saw that there was a flood warning. That's concerning to me if there is a flood warning in the area right now, for evidentiary reasons. Otherwise, it appears that you have to take Kellen Lane to Long Hollow Pike, and then you're going left or right. So as I went down, I saw there's a fire department, and this appears to be schools, and a church. But schools, to me, should have a plethora of cameras. I would certainly hope. And so what did you guys get at night, during the day? Did you get anything? There's a convenience store. There's Beach Market. It appears That's what the name of it is. But we have a high school, middle school, we have a church, we have a fire department, and that's just right here. That appears to be the east of the subdivision. We have a day school right here. Do they have footage? And then you get here and you can split. You can split. There's Center Point Road, Long Hollow Pike, Happy Hollow Road. So we have another church. This appears to be maybe a restaurant. Okay. Do they have longer term footage? I'm not sure if what is back here is residential. But look at all of this. I mean, it's trees for days. Such a large, massive area to search. And look, there's homes just plopped all around here. I would encourage those people. I would be mailing something even to check your footage. I would be knocking. Looks like we've got grocery stores, corner stores. I would be banging on all of these doors for video footage. So let's assume you leave there and you head west. You get into bigger areas. We have more schools, more churches. Do you work at any of these places? Are you watching this? Do you work at any of these places? Talk to the powers that be in your business to find out about cameras and how long the footage from those cameras is retained. You find something, get it to TBI as soon as possible. Here we go. Now we're getting, okay, we got Walgreens. Very well lit parking lots. They have security footage. Caldwell Drive, 174 Ellen Drive. Did anyone go and talk to Walgreens? Bojangles. Volunteer State Bank. I guarantee you a bank has seriously good camera footage. This is Jackson Road, Long Hollow Pike, Caldwell, Seth, Katie, Chris. If any of you, even neighbors or just caring individuals, live in this area, go ask the bank. Check with the bank. Check with Walgreens. Any footage whatsoever from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. We have restaurants. Okay, we have, what do we got here? North Creek Park. We have some offshoots here. Looks like a business park. We have a Kroger. We have hotels, Waffle Houses. Okay, Cracker Barrel right here. They should have good footage. Then you're getting by the expressway. Hotels by here. I don't know what Tennessee has for highway cameras. That needs to be looked into. If I was one of the parents, those would be the doors I would be knocking on. I hope that one of them sees this, and I hope that one of them will look into that. So don't call me crazy. Yes, this has been an area of interest for me for a variety of reasons. The little town of Perryville, Tennessee. At some point, maybe I'll share. So some areas here that I believe could be looked into. We have Perryville Marina. I would think they would have substantial video footage. It might be a worthy area to search. Obviously, this is a river, but this area is very small. Oh, and there's a campground. They might have footage. And then, yes, it opens up into the river. Going to continue. Sorry if that hurts your eyes. That was not, I don't think that was the primary area. Maybe I did not get, okay, Mermaid Marina. There's another marina. See if that picked anything up, but there was a little tiny area. Okay, we have Carroll Cabin Barrens State Natural Area. That I believe are potentially, that might be a potential area of interest. Maybe calls could be made before putting feet on the ground. We have the Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge, Mousetail Landing State Park. And again, call me crazy. That's fine. We have the area by Jimmy Evans Memorial Bridge. But no, I am not going to get you guys with clickbait, as many people seem to do. There's something super wrong, big problem. So if you share this with Katie, Chris, Seth, regarding Sebastian, we have a problem. And maybe this has been talked about, but if it has, nothing's been done about it. So I'm going to talk about it again. NamUs, NCMEC, the National Missing Persons Database, where every missing person should be. I'm just searching my first name, male, white, search. Who does not come up here? Sebastian is not, oh, before I open my mouth, let's take race. Let me take these off. I don't want to, yeah, okay. So the only thing I'm searching right now is the name Sebastian. And there's 11, and none of them are Sebastian Rogers. This made me sick, physically sick to my stomach. I am now searching first and last name. Nothing. I am going to see if maybe they, nope, they did not. Let me see. Hold on. Page 2. No. Okay. His name is not misspelled. And look, yes, I believe this information should have been shared with you by one of the law enforcement resources that should be communicating with you guys. You can enter Sebastian in here yourself, okay? Just Google NamUs, NAMUS. You can enter him yourself. You will need like the police agency case number, preferably, to get him in there, and then they verify it, and then it's posted. I've sadly had to do this myself. And I'm physically ill. Physically ill. I'm just a regular person, and I'm a regular mom. Maybe I'm a little bit more tech savvy than some, but not anything crazy. And in my own life experience, I was easily able to navigate that. So if there's anybody that watches this video that has a way to communicate with Katie, Seth, or Chris, if they could share this and get him on the list. It's a national database. Law enforcement agencies see it, but people across the country see it. He needs to be on there. It's vitally important. Just do it. No questions. Just do it. I am not a judge, a jury, nor God, and I'm not going to lay blame at the feet of anybody without us knowing any facts, because, again, if this case is missing anything, it's facts. The only fact is that he's gone. And we saw in the OP Live that it appeared that Katie was home. And if I can say anything, it would be just back off. And I say this because the one thing she needs to do is get out of that house and put her boots on the ground and look for him. And let's make sure that she knows she'll be safe if she does. I'm just going to say better late than never. Because at this point, anybody that can, with spare hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and lives with and is able to get there, really should. A lot of things have been out there about the nightmare beginning on February 25th. Then there's things that say he went missing on the 26th. We don't know. We just don't know. And law enforcement doesn't share everything. They shouldn't. They can't. They can't damage their case. They can't hinder an investigation. However, I will go back to yesterday when I pulled up the Elijah Vu video, that you can do both. You can investigate and search at the same time. And so it breaks my heart when I hear, that law enforcement scaled back a couple weeks ago. Maybe there needs to be a GoFundMe for dogs. I'm not a dog expert. Bloodhounds, cadaver dogs. And I want to say this. I did see a comment made by Seth about people manifesting his child not being with us anymore. And as a mom, I would say that would be something that would, to the degree I've seen it in this particular case, would probably make me physically ill every day. It's one thing to consider it as a possibility in an effort to be resourceful, such as if it is a possibility, then maybe there needs to be some fundraising for getting cadaver dogs to search, because if something is underground, people wouldn't find it without dogs, more likely than not. But going too much farther beyond that it's not our place. It's just not. And just if you have a child or a grandchild, or a beloved godchild or niece or nephew, let's just consider how many things are out there right now that are just playing on that possibility in a really bad way, or doing it for clicks, or doing it just for the excitement of going back and forth with someone online when it's like, this boy is missing and he needs to be found. I've seen things about should Chris's sister or stepsister or half-sister, everybody's claiming that's in law enforcement or works for an agency, that they should quit or recuse themselves. And first of all, I am not aware of this being verified with certainty, but until you know any differently that person did anything in any way that was foul, if they have a family to feed and support, you can't be stalking people. You can't just feel like you have carte blanche to do these things. And while you're stalking people, maybe law enforcement can't do their job because of everything everybody else is doing. And so I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not anybody special. I feel it's really important that everybody really works to keep the focus where it needs to be. Going back to the last video, we had some good comments, but let's just talk about a couple. Josh B. Said he would ensure to have FBI, CIA check all camera footage of the goes of their vehicle, all vehicles, and cell phone GPS coordinates. Okay, so I think what he's kind of getting at is what some of us in the true crime world might call infotainment systems. And with those, I believe, you might need a warrant and you might have to have probable cause. And we don't know if those were downloaded. And if they were, if you have ever watched a trial where they have talked about cell phone records and social media records and infotainment systems, they talk about thousands and thousands and thousands of records. So they could be working through all that. And another parallel I'll draw with Elijah Vu, I apologize. They've had, over 1,000 or thousands of tips. And from what I understand, this case has had hundreds. Yet this case has exposure that most people would dream of if it was their loved one. And that's something else I want to shine a light on, is that everything I do is not going to be about this, because there's some really important cases that I want to touch on that are difficult and heartbreaking, and they don't get the light shown on them like this. But I think that they would love to have as many people covering their case. Back to the comment, I don't know about CIA if they're involved. I don't think so. But I certainly hope that they have. I am still struggling to believe that in all of these, none of these homes, none of these businesses had a stitch of video footage of anything, of anyone, in a 12-hour span. Truth seeker, heartbreaking. They have absolutely nothing and are not still searching for Sebastian. I know they've searched the house many times. Maybe if there's an area in the attic or cellar somewhere he could have went to hide, but then possibly passed out. I imagine they have a basement. When you say attic and cellar, I'm picturing older home like my own. I think they had an office above the garage. It could be mistaken. They said he liked to play tricks on his mom and hide. I would just keep searching the house and neighborhood and maybe check back at his old school. Maybe he reached out to one of his friends there. I know Mom said she doesn't think he had any friends, but they say he seemed happy at school, and maybe there was someone there he befriended that Mom or Dad may not have been aware of. I think if he ran away, he would have brought his phone and contacted his dad, but I just don't think he would leave his fur babies on purpose. Mom said she was on the couch until midnight, and then she went to bed. She would have heard something if it was before midnight when he left. I honestly can't help but think of little Summer Wells and how she disappeared without a trace. And that's fact. That poor baby girl is still gone. It fades in the rear view mirror. It's possible. I mean, anything is possible until we're proven something is not possible. It would be good to know if he had maybe friends within school that maybe he didn't socialize with outside of school. I was one of those people. I had friends outside of school, but not really inside of school. The Cherokee has a ton of great points. I would want to know if there are any county-owned solar cellular data cameras in the Hatchie Wildlife Refuge Swamp between Jackson, Tennessee and Memphis, especially on Powell Road, which is a back way into it. It's a one-lane gravel road that winds around through it for about 7 miles. You get to the refuge main entrance and Powell Road via I-40 and Tennessee Route 76. It would be a small detour. It's very doubtful you could ever find remains in there, but there is a possibility of seeing a vehicle that shouldn't be there, especially in February. Solar cellular cameras would also probably be set to upload to a cloud service rather than storing on an SD card that gets written over. The Cherokee, this is really good options here. I hope someone gets this to Seth, or his sister, I think, is kind of navigating important things to him. So hopefully she finds this and she can get this to him. I'm not a big, channel or anything, so I don't know. We'll see. I hope so. There was a camera across the street covering the driveway of the home. If anybody left in a vehicle at night, it should have been seen. TBI should be looking for all potential camera footage anywhere between the RV parks and the Hendersonville neighborhood. Chris's alibi appears to be a 3-hour phone call to Katie from 9 to midnight. I'll just add the caveat, we don't know his alibi. None of us do. Only law enforcement does. Just because his cell phone can be confirmed to have been located in Memphis that night and connected to Katie's phone for those 3 hours is not proof he was in Memphis or talking on the phone. That's probably true. That's not enough. It's actually a way of which a false alibi could be created. So look, I don't know if something nefarious happened here, and we're not here to spread rumors or gossip or anything, but it is a possibility that something happened between Hendersonville and Memphis. Ruling out areas in between those two locations is foolish. It's just foolish to not just consider all possibilities. If this was your child, would you consider all possibilities within reason? If Sebastian was transported out of the area, a vehicle was not driven into the neighborhood to the house. The vehicle was parked nearby outside of the neighborhood, and the driver walked to the house, knowing where residential cameras were located. This is incredibly detailed. I think it would be worthwhile to give tracking dogs Chris's scent and have them look at areas just outside of the neighborhood, especially the neighboring Laurel Park construction site and the old barns with an entrance on Long Hollow Pike. Although it would not be concrete proof, dogs tracking his scent around the old barns and the tree line separating the construction site from their neighborhood would be suspicious enough to consider him as a suspect. Dogs found scent on the ground. It's possible he was carried piggyback out of the neighborhood to a waiting vehicle to eliminate the possibility of two sets of footprints where the ground was muddy. If it's true, Sebastian had been seen walking through the Laurel Park subdivision construction site and over to the high school at any time prior to that night, the dogs finding his scent there would mean nothing. That could have been from many months earlier. There is no evidence that Chris did this. They are being clear. But you will never find evidence you don't look for. With the amount of searching that has taken place without finding anything, the best way to find Sebastian is to find out how he was transported away from the home. So 1,000%, I want to thank the Cherokee because that was huge. There was so much information there. You did it in a very diplomatic way, which I can totally appreciate and respect. And you gave some valuable ideas and locations to consider. And the final sentiment, who cannot agree with that? Consider all options until there's something that is concrete that takes you in one direction or another. Look, Katie and Chris are completely set that he left voluntarily or ran away. But they don't know. They didn't see it happen. They don't know what he was wearing. They don't know what time he went. They don't know. So we can't only go with that possibility. And if you're if you're Seth, you can't only look at that possibility that it was voluntary. You have to consider that it was possibly something nefarious. Maybe by Chris, maybe by Katie, maybe by a third party nobody knows about, that nobody's even considered. You have to. You have to. We're talking about a living, breathing human being out there, and they deserve to be home. They do. Sebastian deserves to be home. Let's keep saying his name. Sebastian Rogers. Okay? And if we can just, again, touch on Namus, get him on NamUs. Get him on the National Missing Person Database. Do not let this don't let this fall. This very important detail in this situation fall to the wayside. But also don't forget, if you do absolutely have to consider the worst case scenario, which if you're the parent, you don't want to consider it. But I'm sorry, you should, or maybe you have somebody who's really strong in your life. Have them consider it for you. And maybe some fundraising could go towards getting cadaver dogs and maybe even bloodhounds. I think that's the right word. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please. That would be a great use of funds in this case, because if law enforcement isn't searching, then the onus is on the family. That's it. And even if law enforcement was, that's still not going to be enough people. And as far as not communicating, I hope that all the parents are being communicated with frequently. Maybe there's been too many interviews and maybe they don't want the risk of things getting out. I don't know. Just gonna Eastern girl, she might have taken the garbage out. Remember, the video was grainy. She heard a thud. Then she checked on him, but then she didn't. We're not sure. And she said to Chris, and that was the light going out. She carried him to the garbage, and that is why they said it was extremely heavy that morning. People are overlooking things, and they overlooked the landfills. Yes, I've heard a lot of not really, if you ignore the social media speculation, I've heard some people with very knowledgeable backgrounds that believe that there might be some answers that went in the garbage that day and are at the landfill, and they were there once, at least, I believe. And I don't know. Is it gone now? Is it all gone now? I don't know. So if I can get something out here, it would be to all the parents involved, to all the family members involved. Don't give up hope. Don't stop searching. Keep your feet on the ground. Everyone's feet should be on the ground at this point. When you're tired, have people that will step in for you, so you can have some self-care in this situation. Don't allow yourself to get consumed by the darkest thoughts. But if you can't handle considering all options, again, find a loved one that will help kind of carry that for you, with you, would be my advice. There's a whole lot I could get into on this, but I went pretty long, and I do hope that the family gets to see this and gets him on NamUs and gets maybe some contact to these larger locations and businesses. And I would just like to end with this. Sebastian Rogers, if you're out there and you see this, I'm really small, but you never know. If you see this, run until you find somebody that makes you feel safe. Call 911. Give them the names of your parents. If you're someone who took him, he is very, very dearly missed. There's a million ways he could be safely returned, and nobody would be the wiser. A public place, get him to a Walmart, get him to a Walgreens, get him to a fire department, near a police department, drop him off, no questions asked, and get out of there. Bring him home. Sebastian Rogers, again, if you're out there, you're missed and you're loved, and you have a lot of people looking for you and a lot of people that want to see you home. So hopefully, I believe you were shown how to dial 911. And if you don't have a phone, fight to get out of wherever you are. Just fight like hell. Get out of there. Find somewhere safe. Call 911. And your family will come and get you. I hope, again, somebody sees this that cares. Let's get Sebastian on NamUs. That's a great place to start. I hope that some of these locations are worth considering for the family. And there's going to be more locations, but this is just a lot to digest and process, and it's probably easier on the family to get things out in manageable pieces to get organized. So if you watch this and you know how to get in touch with anyone in that family, please share this with them and let's get him on NamUs. So thank you again, just from one tired mom to anybody who listens. These are just my suggestions and my thoughts, and more than anything in the world, I am praying so hard that Sebastian is returned home to his family, and that this is just going to be just one bad dream. So thank you, and please have a good night, and please don't stop saying his name the right way. Please, I beg of you also to remember that this is a child, and things that may have happened in his life that were traumas. Look, if law enforcement needs to know, they know. It does not need to be consuming. Because I think it is trumping the prayers. It's trumping searching for him. It's all being trumped by talking about all the dirty laundry. That's my piece. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. So I hope you all have a great night. And thank you for if you watched. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.